read responsively. Jesus said not to worry about food and drink. He taught that life is more than what we consume.
Holy food, holy drink, we pray to cease our worry over what we eat and drink today and tomorrow. Help our unbelief.
Jesus said not to be concerned about how we look or the latest fashion. He taught that the body is more than clothing.
Holy art, holy beauty, we desire to leave such obsessions behind. Deliver us from our lack of trust.
Jesus said that worrying leads nowhere. He taught that excessive self-concern never adds to the length or breadth of life.
Holy author of all life, bring us life-transforming faith in you.
Jesus said not to judge others, for that is God's work. He taught that first we take the log out of our eye before we confront another with their speck.
Holy grace and mercy, we pray to see ourselves more clearly, that others might see your reflection in us.
Well, how are you this morning? Great. I'm a little dead. Okay, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to stand over here. I'm going to turn. I'm going to say, how are you this morning?
Great!
Oh! Wow! My! Some energy in the room. It is so good to be here together, is it not? Yeah. We are a community. We are a community of folks who try to live the Jesus way, even though sometimes we're not very successful at it. Which is why we need each other. It's why we come to be reminded of what it means to live the Jesus way. To have some folks who have walked the journey before us in such a way that maybe our journeys somehow go together a little bit. Maybe we can learn a little bit. Or if we can't learn anything from somebody else, maybe they'll hold our hand while we walk through that. The Christian community is not about a bunch of individuals going their own way. It's about people who lean on each other. And the least of all of us is actually the most important of all of us. Well, we're going to discover a lot today in that realm, because that's what James does, is he's sharing wisdom. He's sharing wisdom to the community following Jesus. I invite you to stand as you are able and out of respect for the reading of the scripture. James 4, 1 through 12, I read from the Message. Where do you think all these appalling wars and quarrels come from? Do you think they just happen? Think again. They come about because you want your own way and fight for it deep inside yourselves. You lust for what you don't have and are willing to kill to get it. You want what isn't yours and will risk violence to get your hands on it. You wouldn't think of just asking God for it, would you? And why not? Because you know you'd be asking for what you have no right to. You're spoiled children, each wanting your own way. You're cheating on God. If all you want is your own way, flirting with the world's, every chance you get, you end up enemies of God and His way. And do you suppose God doesn't care? The proverb has it that He's a fiercely jealous lover. And what He gives in love is far better than anything else you'll find. It's common knowledge that God goes against the willful proud. God gives grace to the willing humble. So let God work his will in you. Yell a loud no to the devil and watch him scamper. Say a yet quiet yes to God and he'll be there in no time. Quit dabbling in sin. Purify your inner life. Quit playing the field. Hit bottom and cry your eyes out. The fun and games are over. Get serious, really serious. Get down on your knees before the Master. It's the only way you'll get on your feet. Don't badmouth each other, friends. It's God's word, his message, his royal rule that takes a beating in that kind of talk. You're supposed to be honoring the message, not writing graffiti all over it. God is in charge of deciding human destiny. Who do you think you are to meddle in the destiny of others? A word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
Please be seated. All right. So, I stole this mirror without asking Christina. It's actually hers. So what do you see? Do I have it at the right angle? Do you see anybody in this? No? No? They're all what? Does that have a good angle? Can you see? What do you see? What do you see in this?
God's children.
God's children. Good answer. Wow. Yeah. Family. Yeah. Friends. Yeah. Loved ones. Yeah. Neighbors. Yeah. Anybody else remember the Walt Disney films where the evil queen asks the question? The one I remember is mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? Look, we know Disney better than we know the scriptures, don't we? I mean, really, come on, folks. Yeah. I was interested to find out that the movie I've never seen, which came out in the 30s, it was Magic Mirror on the Wall. I don't know if that's significant. I just found that interesting. So when you look in the mirror, what are you looking for? What do you see when you look in the mirror? You get up in the morning, you look in the mirror, what are you looking for? Breath. I look to see if I've cut myself. A smiling face. Oh, yes. Sometimes that's what you need in the morning, is a smiling face. Baggy eyes, that's what you see. What are you looking for?
Who is that person?
Who is that person? You know, I look in the mirror and I go, there's certain looks when I'll suddenly come across a mirror and I'll see, where did my dad get here? Where did he come from? Yeah, where's my grandma here? Yeah, that's something. Looking in the mirror can be a dangerous thing. When you're really looking.
Especially if you do it too much.
Do it too much, it can be dangerous. Yeah. It can be really dangerous. But, you know, are we really asking the question about who's the fairest? I don't know. Are we asking that question? I know I don't have a chance of being the most handsome person around. Whose eyes are looking makes a difference. Perspective.
And some beauty doesn't show in the mirror.
Fortunately. Fortunately. Yeah. Look in your reflective reading. At the poem that's there. It's from a psalm, Reflection. The lyrics are by David Zippel. Look at me. You may think you see who I really am, but you'll never know me. Every day it's as if I play a part. Now I see if I wear a mask, I can fool the world. But I cannot fool my heart. Who is that girl I see staring straight back at me? Will my reflection show who I am inside? I am now in a world where I have to hide my heart and what I believe in. But somehow, I will show the world what's inside my heart and be loved for who I am. Who is that girl I see staring straight back at me? Why is my reflection someone forced to hide? Must I pretend that I'm someone else all the time? When will my reflection show who I am inside? There's a heart that must be free to fly, that burns with a need to know the reason why. Why must we all conceal what we think and how we feel? Must there be a secret me I'm forced to hide? I won't pretend that I'm someone else for all time. When will my reflection show who I am inside? James is a book that is not very often studied and read. But he's really talking about what is the reflection that you reflect out into the world. What do people see when they look in the mirror that is you? What do they see? How are you going about your life following Jesus? What is your rule? Right? What is your... It dropped out of my head. That's the problem with preaching the way that I do. When I come to a certain place, I don't have the words written down. So I can't actually... Okay, you've got a string. You have a weight on the bottom. It's how you can decide what's level, the perpendicular.
Plumb bob.
Plumb bob. You don't have a plumb bob. What is your plumb bob? To know what the straight and narrow is.
I try to keep the 10 Commandments.
The 10 Commandments. Yeah. Yeah. What does that look like in your life? How does your plumb bob, your 10 Commandments, your way of being, how do you keep it? How do you look? All right, so James was written, it's one of the earliest letters we got. Now, scholars argue a lot about things like this. And one of the arguments is, who wrote it? Well, there's a couple of James in the New Testament. One of the Jameses that the churches often said wrote the book of James was the brother of Jesus. He died in 62, about 30 years after Jesus' death. He was killed, martyred. And so the letter actually probably was written somewhere around 50, something like that. It reflects an authentic Hellenistic, Koine Greek, the Greek it was written in, wisdom literature of the time, about the time that Paul was writing. So whether James, the brother of Jesus, wrote it or not, I don't think really matters. What matters is the wisdom that is brought into the world through this incredible thinking. This peer of Paul, who maybe didn't know Paul, maybe did, but they wrote in different styles. Now, he doesn't talk about Jesus in this. There is a presumption. When you write a letter to somebody, do you put everything in the letter that somebody 2,000 years later might want you to put in? No, you write to that person. And so the presumption of this letter is the Christian community. How do you live in the Christian community? And it's not written to one church. Paul wrote letters to one church. It's not addressed like that. It may be a compilation of 3 different letters that was put together, but they're all out of this era. Okay, that's the argumentative stuff behind it. But what it really does is talk to you in the community about how you're supposed to be living. Wisdom literature speaks to some people. Some of you were hearing this as we were reading it, and you were going, wow, that's good. I like that. Oh, that's good. Oh, yeah, that's the way. And others that are going, when are we going to get to something serious? When are we going to get to something that matters? All right? And that's the way Scripture works. It's not heard the same by everybody. Aren't we fortunate to have 4 Gospels and to have all these epistle letters? Because they all speak with a different voice about how we follow Jesus. And some of us are attracted to some of them more than others. You've discovered in my preaching that my favorite is the Gospel of Mark. I'd rather preach out of the Gospel of Mark than anything else. But that doesn't mean that it's the only book there is that ought to be looked at, is it? Just because I have an affiliation with it. So get the idea? You get it? So let me give you a little aside. Martin Luther hated the book of James. He said it should be not in the Bible. Just scratch it out. He says his language was, it's built on sand. So when he read those very same words that we were reading in the Greek, he saw nothing. He didn't see anything. Martin Luther had an incredible grace experience. And he thought that if you weren't talking about grace, you're not talking to Jesus. And this is presuming grace, this letter, but it's really the statement, how do you live your life after receiving the grace? 2 things. And each of us have an affinity toward one or the other of this, and we really need to bring them together so there's not either or. In the beginning, there is grace. The Christian walk starts with the present of Jesus Christ. You open the present, you receive the grace, you take it within you, it transforms your life, it makes sure that you know that you are loved no matter what. You are loved no matter what. You can't earn this love. You don't deserve this love. It is yours as a free gift. You are loved. The author of the universe that is expanding faster than you can imagine loves you. And that's the beginning. That's the simple stuff. Take that in and hold it. As long as you need to. But eventually, the second shoe gets planted. And that is, what's your response? How does it affect your living? How do you live your life? Do you live your life like you did before the grace transformation? No! No, you don't. If you let those habits in James, which are the way of the world, the selfishness, the I'm here in order to get what I want, war, anything I need, violence, whatever I desire, the child. If that's how you're still living, you're letting those habits drive your life, it calls into question your experience of the grace. That you think somehow you earned it, that you deserve it. Yeah. That's why we need church, so that we can get humbled every once in a while. I don't look at it. You guys don't look that humble to me. I don't know. You look pretty self-assured. But life will humble you. Will it not? You're not paying attention if life isn't humbling you. You know? You do not succeed all the time. In relationships, work, figuring your money stuff. I don't care what it is. You do not succeed. There's nothing like a good bankruptcy. Nothing like a little drug addiction that bottoms you out. There's nothing like divorce. There's nothing like a child who decides they're going to go away and think it's just not okay. There's nothing like life to shrink the big head and to set us up, if we have not heard the message yet, about how much we are loved, that Jesus would give his very life for you, even though you were not worth it. But the shoe of how you live your life has to be planted. It changes your life. And those are his instructions. He's telling you how to live your life. One of the things I used to do with youth groups is I would take the book of James and we would, on a retreat or something, we would just read through it and just talk about this stuff that we read here today. You read 3 passages from the book of James. And I think it's important for the church community to hear these words. Yeah, this is how you live your life. And what are the keys to it? Well, let's just go back and look. Look on your meditative readings where the other side, where you have chapter 1. Those who hear and don't act, those who hear and don't act are those who glance in the mirror, walk away, and 2 minutes later have no idea who they are and what they look like. Actions required. Actions required. Well, what is that action? Belief, in the Gospel of John, is about, do you believe in Jesus? Well, it's more than head stuff. It's your body. It shows up in your action. It's what you do with it. And if you're not doing it, whatever God is calling you into, then you're not believing. What does it mean for you to look in the mirror but not walk away? Not walk away. Look at the very last one. I love this passage. Anyone who sets himself as religious. Now, I'm wearing a robe. Let's talk about religion here. And what's foolish, I was not going to say fool. Isn't that something that just slips in? What's really foolish is that you're here listening. That's the interest. It's really great for my ego. That you would come and listen, even when you knew Christina wasn't going to be preaching. I'm pleased about that. So my ego goes up. This kind of religion is hot air. Only hot air. Real religion, the kind that passes muster before God the Father, is this: reach out to the homeless and loveless in their plight and guard against corruption from the godless world. There is a binary going on in this wisdom literature, and that binary is the world and God. And what they mean by the world is not about what we often think. That doesn't mean the earth is bad or something. It simply means that the selfishness that the human species lives in the midst of is the world, and all of those activities where we get our value from looking in the mirror and we're prettier than the other people in our group, where we're looking in the mirror and we see that we have more money than the other people in our group, or we have better education, or you pick it. I drive a better truck than the rest of you truck people, that kind of thing. You get the idea. That's what it means to be a part of the world. Then go to the, now you have to shift to your bulletin and look at the not the reflective reading, but the responsive reading that Janice led us in. Chapter 3, 13 through 18. Do you want to be counted wise, to build a reputation for wisdom? Here's what you do. Live well, live wisely, live humbly. He really believes that humility is where your basis is, your starting point is, and your ending point with God is. It's the way you live, not the way you talk, that counts. We preachers talk really well, but how do we live? Same for you. How do you live? Go down a couple paragraphs. Whenever you're trying to look better than others or get the better of others, things fall apart. and everyone ends up at the other's throats. Competition, personal competition. Competition can be good. It's often not. Isn't it? Often it's not. Getting along with others is one of his themes. He believes getting along. That doesn't mean that you don't have arguments. It doesn't mean any of that. It doesn't mean you don't have confrontations. It simply means respect. Aretha Franklin's song, Respect. Yeah. All right. Do you respect the other person with dignity? You can respect the person and disagree with them. We're losing that ability in our culture. Respecting and disagreement have to come together. And then our goal, you can develop at the very end, you can develop a healthy, robust community that lives right with God and enjoy its results only if you do the hard work of getting along with each other, treating each other with dignity and honor. All right, then go to the end because we're going to be here until tomorrow, as Julie threatened earlier, if I don't quit soon. Chapter 4, go back to your the scripture readings on your insert. He talks in that first paragraph about war, how it's at the basis of war is our selfishness. Individual is how we read that, but he really means culturally. It is individual, but it's beyond that. And could that not be true? Cultural. Let's keep going down. We need to wrap up. So go down to verse 7. So let God work his will in you. Skip over. Say a quiet yes to God and you'll be there in no time. Quit dabbling in sin. Purify your inner life. Quit playing the field. So what he's writing to a church where he sees that the church is trying to have both and. Where the church is trying to live in the world of its power games, and it's trying to live with God and follow the way of Jesus. And he's saying, you got to choose. You got to choose. Now, this is not spirit versus physical. It's not that kind of binary. It is instead, it is a conversation about how you live within the physical. Are you living with the goal of having the tallest steeple in the incredible, or are you living with the goal of serving the neighbor? Which is your purpose? What's you about? You want to have the prettiest place? Pretty is good. God is about art. But what are you doing outside the walls? Now, I just took that from outside of James, because when James was writing, there were no walls. They were part of the synagogue. They were in the midst of being kicked out of synagogue. So it's a different world he was talking. He was talking to the community about what their values were. What are their values? What are our values as a community? What are your values as an individual? And then he ends this whole thing with quit gossiping about each other and bad-mouthing each other. That is a blasphemy almost against God when you bad-mouth gossip others. That's an interesting way of thinking about it, isn't it? Because it's God's job to do judgment, by the way, not yours. So what do you want to see when you look in the mirror? Do you want to see an image of God? A reflection of Jesus? Is that your goal? Then you might have to change some of your habits. Looking in the mirror with God's eyes, knowing that you're loved, but there is a response that's expected of you, a change of lifestyle, can be a transforming experience. I challenge you to allow God to transform you even more than God has already done and doing. Amen.
Our response is, Shepherd me, O God. You'll find it on 205 acres, also printed in your We'll sing it through again 3 times.